Hi, so I decided to talk about dating apps for my oral presentation about cell phone communication. So basically, I want to expand upon my original thesis, which I stated that different dating apps have different reputations to them, and off of those reputations, people communicate with the other members of that app differently. Um, so I want to kind of expand on that, but also bring in some other core concepts that we've talked about in lecture later on in the semester. So just kind of a background information about dating apps. They're pretty popular now, especially because phones are everywhere. Um, but it's kind of shifted this idea about dating online in general. Originally, before these phones were everywhere, we had like computer online dating apps, and basically what's the difference about being online versus on your phone is that having it be a computer means that you have a lot more intention about signing up for these apps because it requires more work than just looking down at your phone and swiping left. So basically, there was kind of a demographic that online dating was solely reserved for 40 something singles who felt like their clock was ticking and wanted to find a partner. But now that we have this accessibility with our phone, it has kind of encouraged a level of laxitude among populations for signing up for dating apps because anyone can just sign up connected to Facebook and have 100 suitors on their hands in under 10 minutes. And because of that, this kind of has decreased the seriousness of online dating, but also in turn has kind of undervalued the purpose of dating apps. This is like, I'm going to take Tinder for example. Tinder, originally for online dating, has had such a big population sign up for it that the number of profiles have expanded. And so the level of seriousness that people take for actually wanting to find a real partner on Tinder has like increasingly gone down. So in turn, people have much more of a lax attitude about going on Tinder and don't take themselves as seriously. This has been pretty prevalent, especially in terms of gender inequality and language, which is something I'm going to touch upon about later. But basically, I think the point that there's been no decline of online dating since apps have been developed for dating kind of emphasizes Dent's point about the fact that media doesn't kill old media, but it just shifts the demographics and just changes with the times. So people who are 40 or something single aren't going to be going on Tinder to find a wife or husband. They're still going to be going on to eHarmony, Match.com. However, now there's a new population that's formed about for online dating apps for these college students that don't really take it as seriously. So basically, I just kind of want to talk about the framework of these dating apps. And once again, I'm going to start with Tinder. So the community of Tinder has become large and diverse, which kind of has depreciated the value seen in every individual Tinder encounter. Because of this, many of the girls, as well as the guys who I've interviewed about their Tinder interactions, claim that they would never have that conversation in real life with the other person, as if they were actually going to be talking to someone who they're actually flirting with. They would never actually flirt that way. Um, these interactions you've seen are ones that you would never even have at a bar, let alone eHarmony, which kind of also contrasts the conversations at eHarmony versus Tinder, where the eHarmony one is going to be more about your personality, while Tinder one, it's swiping left if you like the face that you see on the screen. So here I'm going to pull up some screenshots of examples of that my friends have received from Tinder. So for example, hey Rebecca, you look stunning in all your pictures. Tell me something about yourself that nobody knows. Here we are having an example of how people feel a lot more confident behind a screen. In turn, this confidence for guys on Tinder has translated into more of an abrasiveness and sense of responsibility to make themselves known to the girl that they are manly. So basically, I want to emphasize this idea that Tinder, especially Tinder, acts as a medium in which guys feel like they have an increased sense of confidence. This increased sense of confidence also kind of highlights these themes that we've been talking about in Dent's class about language inequality. Although not explicitly said, it's apparent that these common interactions on Tinder are very misogynistic and blatant and brass. And this misogynistic nature is very prevalent there's become a reputation on dating apps that have stated that dating apps are just very one-sided and it's very sexist. This has been attempted to combat in terms of new dating apps like Bumble, which I'm going to talk about, which is a dating app in which the girl has to message first. So 2 out of the 3 girls who I messaged were originally on Tinder, but then they went to Bumble because they all said that they wanted to have more control of their lives. So the fact that there has to be an entire app dedicated to girls messaging first already reveals the sense of inequality in these dating apps. The fact that guys are naturally going to be assumed to be abrasive. Also, the fact that the girls do not feel like they're in control of what they said on Tinder is also very revealing, as if the guy has automatically the upper hand in the way they talk to the girls. So this is also emphasized by the fact that the girls were more likely to meet up with someone on Bumble than they did on Tinder, which also emphasized the frame that the guys who join Bumble are also going to be taken more seriously and want something more serious than, oh, I'm just going to download this because I'm bored in the library. And so in turn, because of this, girls said that they valued their conversations with guys on Bumble a lot more than they valued their conversations with guys on Tinder, even if it was the exact same conversation. Just the fact that it's Bumble, there's this frame that people see Bumble as being more respected and more serious, and which is pretty revealing in itself. And this kind of reveals a lot about Tinder in itself, where it's like that if girls find guys on Tinder creepy, they don't take their conversations with the guys seriously. And then in turn, these guys might sense this reluctance and become more abrasive in their language because they know that no one's going to be taking their conversation seriously and they're not actually going to meet up. So it's just the cyclical nature where people are continuously devaluing the conversation and the communication between two parties to the point where gender norms have been revealed. So there's also a point of index that I want to bring up, in that of all the participants that I interviewed, both the guys and the girls said that they were most likely to respond to a GIF. This is both on Bumble and Tinder. So the guys I interviewed said that they would most likely send a GIF, and the girls that I interviewed said on Tinder they were most likely to respond to a GIF, and then on Bumble send a GIF. And when asked why, they said it provided an index of casualness and approachability, and especially when girls said that they have this framework of guys going to be naturally creepy on Tinder. So when guys aren't, they take it with like this preconceived surprise, I would say. So just basically, all in all, as I want to wrap up here, just basically that there's a framework that is very cyclical in nature in terms of Tinder and Bumble, but especially Tinder, in that there's already a preconceived notion that people aren't going to take Tinder seriously. And in turn, this reveals a lot about the participants who actually communicate with each other and how they're doing such communication. I think it's also notable, as a side note, to mention the communication that's not verbal. So on Tinder and on Bumble, there's a study that says that people spend more time on their profile pictures than they do on their biographies, which also shows the way in which online dating has become accessible, but in turn a lot more materialistic and surface level. Versus on JSwipe, for the people who I interviewed, they said that they cared a lot more about their biography. This kind of emphasizes the fact that JSwipe is going to be from people who kind of have more of a serious tone about what they're looking for, because people aren't going to hook up with each other based on their religion. They're going to want to have a secular app if they want to take these people home to their parents, which is why people find it better to be, or more acceptable to be, a lot more modest on JSwipe and Christian Mingle, because they know that what they're looking for isn't just a hookup, it's something more. And this is revealed in the fact that people are a lot more likely to actually meet up and date and, i.e., get married on these apps if they're relative to a certain topic, as if it's for religion, as if it's for hobbies. There's apps that for people who like music. So basically the framework of going into these apps automatically already assumes that you take it with a lot more seriousness than if it was Tinder and you just had storage on your phone. So basically, that's all I really wanted to discuss today. I think that the topic of cell phone communication with dating is very revealing, especially with this gender inequality that we see. Just the level of abrasiveness and aggression that guys show with girls on Tinder kind of reveals the reputation that it has and the reputation that it's going to continue to have. But yeah, awesome.